Hello. There's a couple of days left until my Step into Storytelling workshop, which is an introductory storytelling, oral storytelling workshop for beginners. And there's still a few places left, so I wanted to invite you, and I thought I would also share here a little story to give you a flavour of some of the types of stories you might learn over the weekend. And this story is one that I really like. It's about perspectives, and it's set in Japan. It's about two frogs. And the first frog, Osaka frog, lived in a beautiful pond in Osaka. And he used to swim around that pond, and he loved it there, but one day he thought to himself, I've lived my entire life in this pond and I want to see more. I want to see more of the world. And he'd heard about the ponds of Kyoto. He thought, one day I'll travel to the ponds of Kyoto. I've heard how beautiful they are. Now it just so happens that over in a pond in Kyoto was Kyoto frog. Now, Kyoto frog loved his pond there. It's a beautiful pond. But one day he thought to himself, I love this pond, but there's one thing that troubles me. The world is wider than this pond and I want to see it. And I've heard that the ponds of Osaka are beautiful. Now neither Osaka frog or Kyoto frog knew each other, but it just so happened on exactly the same day they both decided to live out their dreams. And Osaka frog hopped out of Osaka pond. Kyoto frog hopped out of Kyoto pond, and the two began their journey. It was a long journey. Hop, hop, hop. And midway between Osaka and Kyoto there was a mountain. And those two frogs hopped up, 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 up beside the mountain. It's a long way for a frog to hop up a mountain, but soon they got there, and imagine their surprise when they reached the top and they looked out and they saw a frog. They were not expecting to see a frog at the top of the mountain. They were lost for words for a minute, but soon they began to chat, and it was hot up there, and they lay down under the shade of a tree and they began to chat. And they found out that they were going to each other's cities, and Osaka frog said, well, it is a shame, isn't it, that we are not just a little bit bigger, for if we were, we could look out and see each other's ponds and decide whether it was worthy of going. Kyoto frog had an idea. He said, I know, if we both stand on our hind legs and place our hands on each other's shoulders, we'll be just high enough to actually look out and see. Osaka frog thought this was a good idea, and he agreed to do it. So both of them, they sat and they placed their arms, extended their legs till they were standing up, balancing on each other's shoulders, and they looked out, and sure enough they could see. But they forgot one thing: the anatomy of a frog. For frogs' eyes aren't on the front of their face like ours are, but on the top of their head. And so when Kyoto frog looked out over Osaka pond, he actually looked behind him and saw his own pond. And Osaka frog looked out and he saw what he thought was the ponds of Kyoto, but really was his own pond in Osaka. And Osaka frog said, well, if I had known this, if I had known that Kyoto ponds look exactly the same as my pond in Osaka, I would never have bothered of coming here. And Kyoto frog looked out and he said the same. He said, the Osaka pond looks exactly like the pond I've just come from. There's no point continuing on my journey. And so both frogs raised themselves back down onto the ground, and off they hopped back down the mountain. Osaka frog back to the ponds of Osaka, and Kyoto frog back to the ponds of Osaka, of Kyoto. And that is where they spent the rest of their days. Thank you. That is a little story I like about the importance of making sure you are looking in the right direction, and many more things. So yeah, please do, if you'd like to learn how to tell stories yourself. Over the weekend we will be learning how to find stories, how to remember stories, and how to tell stories. So please do join me. There's still some places left, and I will see you there.